Good morning, MCL here with Market Futures. So very nice, beautiful futures looking good today. The Dow's up about 623 right now at 8:56 in the morning, about 34 minutes before the market opens. S&P's up about 46, but Nasdaq is actually flat. It's actually down very little, about down 4.50 points. So Nasdaq led us in an unbelievable way in the past 9 or 10 weeks up. And for the last week or so, it's been a little bit flattening out and being the more boring one, which is very normal, which also tells us that we're getting a little bit extended and getting closer to the end of the cycle, which is not a surprise to many, because the Nasdaq is starting to lose steam. So the Dow right now is up about 2.27%, and the S&P is up about 1.48%. So the Dow is leading the way, and it probably is going to be like this for the near future, that the Dow and S&P will be a little stronger for the most part until we finally pull back at some point. We're about 9 or 10 weeks in this rally, so it makes sense that we're sort of in the eighth inning right now. Oil's up about 4.33% today, unbelievable. 10-year Treasury, unbelievable, a monster, up 0.085 to up to 0.90. Okay, we started the week in the 60s, now we're in the 90s. That's definitely a big catalyst to this big market bull run. Copper's up 2.35%. If you've been following copper the last few days, you realize that today it's higher than probably it was as an entire week combined, perhaps, with the different fluctuations that it had. So the futures are looking good. The Dow would open today and be up possibly fifth day in a row, and S&P. So that's something to recognize for next week. If you're very into the Dow, maybe it's gonna have a breather next week. The S&P was down yesterday, so it's starting a new run right now. And the Nasdaq was down yesterday, and it's still down a little now. So the S&P had a 4-day run till yesterday, and the Nasdaq, but now it looks like the S&P wants to start a new run. So we have a very extended market in the Dow. The S&P possibly could continue for the most part. We know these things are very linked together, so we're not expecting any amazing things to happen with the S&P without the Dow, or Dow without S&P. But in general, today the Dow is the leader for now in the futures, and we'll see what happens. So we'll see it really next week. I would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll be interesting the way the market chops all this out, because we are very extended, but also we're in such a bullish run that the market doesn't really want to stop. So we'll have to take one day at a time. I'm looking at the VXX, the VIX in general. Let's talk about the VIX. The VIX is down, which is a very bullish indicator for the market. The VXX ETF is what I like to look at, and is for me the most accurate indicator in the entire stock market, which I don't know if I share that view with anybody else. So VXX right now in the futures is the low 29s. It closed yesterday at 30.84. So it's down a lot already in the futures, and it should continue going lower. Like I said, 26, when it hits 26, which could happen in the next couple of weeks, possibly, when it goes as low as 26, that's when I'll start really looking carefully if the market's fluctuating, and I would take every pullback the market's trying to attempt in a much more serious way. But up to the VXX 26, every pullback is viable. If it pulls back a very little bit, just hold. I don't think you have to chase everything, because the market could fake you out. Look at NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ is not being so convincing today. So, right, it shows you that chasing is not always the secret, although NASDAQ could turn around with the market run most probably. At least it'll attempt to do that. So in general, VXX has a little more room down. That means to me the market has a little more room to go up. We're in the 9th or 10th week of this bull run. So I believe when we hit about 12 weeks and up from that point, that will be interesting to see if the market's going to have a sharp pullback, even if it's just for a short time, or if the market's going to ignore the signal of VXX 26, which is a mathematical signal that works very often. If it ignores that, it means the market's even more bullish than we think. So either way, VXX 26 is the target to look at and to pay attention to, but we're not there yet. So just hold, hold, hold. I've been saying hold for weeks already. Hold your position. I wouldn't necessarily chase. I would only buy more if it pulls back. If the Dow, S&P, or NASDAQ pull back more than 1.5 or 2%, I would add a little more money. But otherwise, just hold and enjoy the ride, and look at VXX. When it hits about 26 and the market starts fluctuating, I would pay attention to that more seriously. But as of today, enjoy this ride, and let's see what the NASDAQ does as compared to the Dow and S&P. That's going to be interesting to me to look at. But everything else is bullish. The indicators are extremely bullish. So I believe the market should have a beautiful run today.